Good evening. I'm Enarida Lord and welcome to Churikua. Do you travel on the road often? In my case, I have to reiterate that although I am not someone who tends to travel often, I do. Personally, I enjoy driving. And although many would say that even thought going by bus may be more comfortable and you can just rest while you arrive at your destination, in my case, I enjoy traveling more when I have the opportunity and driving. Something that I consider practical is that I don't have to spend on cabs. And if I want to bring souvenirs or something that I would be more complicated to bring on a bus, I have less inconvenience since I just put it in the trunk and that's it. Unfortunately, right now, even though it is something I enjoy, I feel unable to take the wheel. I have not even been able to get into my car and go shopping at the nearest supermarket and bring my groceries. All thanks to the fact that a couple of nights ago I just took advantage of being invited to the wedding of one of my great friends from college. According to what he told me, the wedding ended up taking place in Cuautla, since both families lived there, so I couldn't miss the chance to attend, not to mention that it was not a long distance. In order to attend the wedding, I did everything necessary to attend. That included changing my brake with another colleague. That day, I got up early and went to Cuautla. During the ceremony and the party, there was nothing out of the ordinary. Just the opposite. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed myself a lot. So much that when I realized it was already very late. The next day I had to go to work. So I went back to my car, put on some music, and started my way home. At that moment I knew it was going to be crazy. The next day, surviving on supercharged coffee, but it had been worth it. So I started the drive. I saw the time and it was only a few minutes to 3 a.m. I knew I would sleep just a few hours before going to work. Well, worse is not sleeping, so I just concentrated on the road. This road is known for having many curves, so I had to be very careful, not to mention that we are talking about it was already very late and I had to be careful on any accidents or drunk I could run into on the road. I barely made it one stretch and I found a man leaning against a signpost, smoking a cigarette. It seemed a little strange to me, but I preferred not to think too much about it. I continued focusing on the road when at another sign I saw him. Again, that man, smoking his cigarette as if he was enjoying it, without paying attention. The music in my car started to fail, leaving an interference sound as if it was the radio, but no, it was the music I had in my car. It was not the radio. It was impossible it to fail since everything was in excellent condition. I started to get even more upset. However, in two more signs, I saw him there again with his cigarette, and this time he turned to look at me. I felt his eyes burn in flames. I knew a lot of terror. I felt it when I saw him. He was a man with good bearing and wearing a suit. Elegance was reflected in his bearing, something that made me feel uneasy. I saw him at two more signals until suddenly I saw how he deliberately crossed a curb in a hurry, got into my lane and stared at me. I did everything humanly possible to brake, and it was so abruptly that I even hit myself with the steering wheel. I only saw a brief moments that I leaned against the hood of my car, finished his cigarette, and threw it as if to extinguish it on the ground with a stomp. I stood, tried to calm down, and for some reason my car wouldn't start until after a few tries it did. It turned I turned off the stereo, and for some more reason it started again. So I just turned the volume all the way down. I continued the rest of the way with my heart pounding, praying between murmurs and sobs that that man couldn't show up again. Finally arriving in Cuernavaca, I could breathe, at least a little. Trembling, I entered the house. I found a piece of bread and ate it. I couldn't get his image out of my head. Sleep left me. So I just sat there looking out of the window at my car until it was almost down. I took a quick shower and went to work. What would be my surprise? I saw that man's hand and the cigarette burned on the hood of my car. That day my mind was barely on work. It was as if I was working by inertia, as my mind tried to explain what I saw last night. At lunchtime, I talked to another friend from Cuautla who had attended the wedding and wanted to know how everything was going. I told him what happened, and he told me that the character I saw was the devil, who at about 3 a.m. smokes his cigarette calmly, watching the passers-by pass by and appearing at every signpost along the road, sometimes seeing them from a distance, other times looking the other way. It is said that sometimes he throws himself at cars to cause an accident and derail them. He started to appear because while the road was being built, some workers found gold but decided to tell their boss, who, unable to cope with his greed, killed all those involved and buried them in the Cañon de Lobos. Some people says that it is in the caves, others say that it was along the road, but the devil is simply waiting to find those guilty to make them pay, and if he can take some unwary person with him, it can already be considered profit for him, due to the money is his. I still cannot get the image of the devil out of my head, and that, like my friend Emiliano, they admire my driving skills, because if it weren't for that, my destiny could surely be different. Now that you know what happened to me in Cañon de Lobos, would you dare to drive there at that time of night?